Hey, what's up guys, Ricky Racing here. Today we're doing something a bit different from usual. So I'm about to join AWAR, which is a league racing community, and I will have my evaluation race on Monday next week. But I haven't done any real league racing in Product Cars 2, so it's a learning process, I guess. Today's video is a little bit about everything, you know, car setup, league racing, pit stop strategy, and overall preparation for a race. An in-depth car setup video will probably come later on, but that's not what this is. So yeah, enjoy guys! So let's get this started. Making a setup in Product Cars 2 is not easy. It really isn't. It's more complex and advanced than even Iracing in my opinion. But it's fun. It really is fun. The track the race will be on is on Circuit Barcelona, Catalunya. My Spanish is 10 out of 10, but it's a great track to make your baseline setup on, since it has a bit of everything. I will be driving the Ferrari 488, at least for this race. I'm not sure yet which car I will drive during the season, but the Ferrari is the car I'm driving for this race. And it feels pretty good out of the box, so no major changes was needed here, but I made some changes that improved my lap times, but then again, that's a learning curve for me as well, it really is. There are no miracle setups, at least not in my opinion. At most, a really good setup from just a decent setup should be at most half a second per lap. So I'm gonna start up with tire pressure, and it's pretty hard to get a good understanding on, but I'm gonna try cover the basics here. The optimal tire pressure when in hot, the number you should try to reach during a race is around 1.8 bar, front and back. And it's very disputed which actually is the optimal pressure, but these numbers are from an official Slightly Mad Studios post in the forum, so yeah. And generally you want higher pressures on fast tracks and lower pressures on slower tracks. Pressures you see here in the setup menu are the cold numbers, so to achieve your optimal pressure you have to change the cold temperatures to adjust them to the temperatures on the track. Basically more friction makes the molecules move faster and that generates heat. This is probably the most important thing in the entire setup menu. It's pretty special for Product Cars 2 since it has live track, which changes temperatures on the track and the air, which makes this pretty hard to get right for longer races. But the race I'm doing is only 1 hour, so that shouldn't be a problem. The temperatures, the tire temperatures you're looking for here should be around 90 to 105 degrees Celsius or around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. But then again, that's under debate as well, but I think those are pretty accurate numbers. I've tried it out myself and it worked for me. So we're just about talking about the damn tires, but one last thing, the tires here are automatic by weather, which makes them hard slicks on Catalunya. The hard slicks are better on tracks that are hot. The soft slicks should be better on cold tracks, 25 Celsius or lower. This I haven't tested out myself, or the soft slicks I haven't tested out myself, but I read in the forums that the soft slicks work better in cold conditions. Quite not sure how that works. I will be using hard slicks both on qualifying and in the race. Yeah, one last thing. Higher tire pressures equals higher wear. So I'm planning to do my 1 hour race in one set of tires. So yeah, that's just something to think about. So we're moving on to brake pressure. Brake pressure is something personal. I like it where I have it at 94%, but that's just me. Brake bias is another important thing to get right. You want to balance this out so you don't lock up the fronts too easy, but you don't want to spin out the car under braking either, so try finding your sweet spot. My sweet spot with the Ferrari around here was around 50-50. I like a lot of bias going to the rears, so yeah, but that's just me. Moving on to duct opening, which is the air intake for the brakes. For most track I would leave that as is, but my brakes got pretty hot under my longer test stint here, so I open them up a little bit more. Operating temperatures should be around 300 to 400 degrees Celsius when entering a brake zone. otherwise you might experience fade or inconsistent brakes overall. From my experience, the game doesn't take into account if it's iron or carbon ceramic or carbon discs. It's all the same when it comes to temperatures. So moving on to downforce. The downforce levels is a thing you want to balance between understeer and oversteer. In turn 3 here on Catalunya, which is the long right-hander, I got too much understeer, and one thing I did to get more front-end grip was just to reduce the rear wing downforce. I could have added front wing downforce as well, but then I would lose top end speed. You could also make the front softer and a lot of other things, but this worked pretty good for me. Well, this is turning out to be a pretty long video. It's taking me longer than I anticipated, but suspension is a section I won't be too specific with, but I increased the front end camber to get better cornering grip, but you don't want to make large adjustments here, since more negative camber have heavy impacts on braking and traction, and it's just bad for tire life overall. And I plan on doing a 1 hour race on one set of tires, so yeah. I'm also running a small rake with the front ride height as low as it goes in the Ferrari here, and the rear a bit higher. Dampers is another section I won't talk a lot about here, but I barely changed anything from the loose baseline setup here. I tried different settings, but it always felt better with the stock setup. So one thing I changed though was the bump stop. That's when the damper stops compressing, because Catalunya is a very smooth track, maybe except from the last section, but yeah, just minor changes. The last thing I won't talk about much is the limited slip differentials, or the LSD, because that would take a day and a half. That's for another video. One thing you'd want to change in here is the traction control though. My sweet spot is around 13 to 16%, because it can really help you coming out of the corner, but you don't want the traction control intervention when you get a wheel on the curb. It's easily accessed from the in-car menu as well, so tune it as you like. A higher value allows for the wheels to slip more before the traction control kicks in. ABS strength is another personal thing. I'm still finding it hard to get the right feel for the brakes in Project Cars 2. It's just hard to get the force feedback to tell you when the brakes are locking up. Either way, I left them as they were on 75%, but again, try that out yourself and find your sweet spot. So now that we're finally done talking about the setup, it's time for some actual driving. I'm gonna try a hot lap here in the amazing Ferrari 488. Again, still haven't decided which car to use in the league, but yeah. So this is turn 1 here, hard on the brakes. You really want to get a straight line coming out of this turn, which I didn't now, to get the power down good. Here's turn 3, which is a massive understeer turn still, but it's way better than the baseline setup. There's another hard left or right hand turn. The screen you see here, where I can see all the temperatures and pressures and stuff, is a really good way to know what you need to change with your setup, basically. This lap I'm doing here is on time trial though. What you should do is go into private testing and try the car for a couple of laps, maybe around 5 laps, to get your pressures and stuff and see that it actually works. It's time consuming, it is, but it's kind of fun at the same time. I think it's way more fun here in Project Cars than I did in Iracing. Yeah, hard on the brakes here again, coming into the lag section of the track. This is a really hard turn to get right, by the way, at least in my opinion. Coming into the bumpy right-hand turn here, which really unsettles the car. I want to oversteer on exit here. Probably can... That's my sound bug, as usual. Can make some setup improvements there, but... Yeah. So coming on to the last turn before the straightaway here. Let's see what time we can get here. The fastest guys that post their times in the league forums did a 1:44.5. I'm not anywhere near there, but a 1:45.3 is pretty decent. I'm probably about 1 second off, or close to 1 second off, but yeah. I didn't expect to beat any records here. So speaking of records, let's see what the guys can do in the cars here. I'm currently in 15th place with my 1:45.2. Have actually done a quicker lap than that. I won 44.9, but that wasn't in official time trial. Either way, some guy did a 1:43.7 here without even tuning his setup. I have no idea how that's even possible to find 2 seconds from my time, but good work, sir. Yeah, there are a lot of quick guys here. There's a track you like to try yourself out on. This is a good track. You can really see it in the results here. Loads of guys have done the time trial on this track, so a 15th spot is actually pretty decent. For preparation, I also did a test run, a longer stint here. I didn't do, it's 33 laps, and I didn't do all 33 laps, but I did around 24-25 laps just to see the tire wear. Like I said earlier in the video, it looks like you can make it on one set of tires, but I just want to find out my overall pace, and the pace was pretty good, around 46s and a couple of 45s in there as well. But the overall wear in Project Cars 2 isn't much. It's pretty similar to Iracing. So this is where you make your race strategy or your pit stop strategy. Pretty basic stuff here. I won't be needing a pit stop if everything goes to plan, so there's no need for it, but it's always good to have a couple of strategies if you end up in getting some damage or whatever. It's always good to have a couple of options ready when you pit. Like I said earlier, even though I won't be needing a pit stop in this race, I still wanted to practice changing tires, adding fuel, all that good stuff. As you see the in-car menu here, which is pretty good. You can actually change the setup you made on the fly. You know, if something changes, you need less or more fuel, or if it starts raining and you want to add rain tires or something like that. It's a pretty neat system, and it works really easy, to be honest. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Like I said earlier in the video, making a setup isn't easy. One piece of documentation that I really found useful, just Google Iracing setup guide. I read it before I started using Iracing, and I tried to get into figure out how to make my own setup for Iracing. I read that, and it's pretty basic stuff and explains it pretty good. Project Cars 2 is really a hardcore simulation. The way the game simulates a race car on the track is pretty amazing, to be honest. Especially the tire pressure, temperature and all that stuff. And I still have a lot to learn. I find it fun. I really enjoy making these setups and just fiddling and trying out different stuff and see how it affects the car. I would love some tips from you guys. I know that there are a lot of setup wizards out there, and I would love to you know, get your tips and learn more. So if you have any good tips, please let me know in the comments section below. And like always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Maybe this wasn't the most entertaining video I made, but hopefully some of you found it useful. And obviously I'm really looking forward to league racing here in Project Cars 2. It's just an amazing game, it really is. And I've been itching to do a proper serious race. It's been a while since I did one in Iracing, and I'm really looking forward to start this off in Project Cars 2. It really should be a blast. But until then, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.